And we're live. Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome to
everybody.
concert. With myself, my good buddy Peter, and my other good buddy Pete. So,
How's it going?
Welcome, Pete.
Hey,
Going great.
thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today.
We've been talking.
No problem.
You're
Yeah.
one of our biggest guests.
What was that?
I think you're our biggest guest. That's a fire truck.
I'm not that big. I'm only like 180 pounds.
Okay, I'm a bit bigger than anyway, so tell us, what do you do to anyone out there in our YouTube land that might not know who Peter Simeti is?
Well, I'm the publisher and founder of Alterna Comics, but I'm also an artist, writer, all that good stuff. Mostly the mailroom, though, is what I work at Alterna.
Oh, mailroom, the
mailroom and graphic design department.
Yeah, and the slush pile guy. So,
yeah, exactly.
I know, because I've submitted to it a few times. So
I'm the end all be all, other than making the books. All the other books, they're made by obviously the creators that make them. Alterna is a creator-owned company, so the creators all own 100% of their IP. They don't, split any of that with me. If they want to make a shirt, if they want to make a movie, they get to keep the rights, the profits, whatever it may be.
You got a pretty good deal on basically the way it works. I mean, I know Image has like a $5,000 or $7,000 buy-in fee, and I know yours is like what, 20% or something.
Yeah, it's a 20% of issues sold.
Yeah.
So of the profits. But Image, I think, is more like, I think it's like $2,000, something like that.
That was
per
more
issue.
Oh, per all that.
But like it's deducted, and then if the issues don't sell that well, then they start sending you an invoice. At least from what I've been told from Image creators. But yeah, we don't have anything like that.
No, I knew you had the better deal in that sense. So, but yeah. So, and you're getting ready to promote your new comic right now, King Cryptid.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. We've got a great art team: Christian Rossi, Nick Hunter, Alex Jovich, Kier Covington. I mean, every day it's like Christmas for me because someone is sending me something in the inbox. They'll put the art together. They'll get the page done. They'll do pencils, inks, colors. Every day it's been great. We're about maybe on some of the issues, we're about halfway through. Campaign launches May 25th. They're just full steam ahead. I told them, I was like, I just need a couple of pages done. This way we can have previews for the book. You don't have to get the whole issue done. And they're just like, no, I want to do it. I know this campaign is going to make its goal anyway, so I'm just going to do it and get ahead of time. I'm like, all right. I appreciate the confidence.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm very confident in it. I mean, I intend to back it. So
thank you.
Yeah,
I hope people have a lot of fun reading the book, and especially these are the first 4 issues, so there's going to be a lot of issues. I'm going to be making this book for a very long time, for years and years to come. So I hope people really enjoy it. I hope they have a lot of fun with it, because we're definitely having a lot of fun making it.
Yeah, because I read your first book, The Chair, and
it's a big departure from that.
Yeah,
big departure. Yeah, The Chair was more of like a grounded psychological horror, kind of like a character study of 2 people that kind of grow up within the same environment, the same circumstances, and then they go on to lead 2 very different lives. And you don't really get the point of that story until the last chapter, when you're really confronted with the truth of the matter. So that was a story that I set out with a purpose to make a kind of a story that was like that. Whereas this King Cryptid, it sounds corny and maybe some people don't believe it, but it literally just kind of came to me at one point in time. I was making monsters on different covers of it. Came out on a Wednesday, on number 7 and on number 15. And I knew that I wanted to do a book that had to do with like the paranormal, monsters, creatures, things that are unknown. I've always loved stuff like that. And eventually the name just came to me one day. I woke up and I just heard the name King Cryptid. And it just like that. And I wrote it down, and I still have the paper. It just looks like the dumbest thing in the world because it literally just has potential names. Because for this book, I was looking for a name for the book and for the main character. It just has King Cryptid and like marker on it, and there were no other potential names. A year later, I revisited that paper. No other name ever came to me. I waited like a whole year before really jumping on it. And meanwhile, the idea and the image of the character was kind of percolating and coming to me, but no name came to me ever again, except for his real name, which people will learn in the story. And I looked at that piece of paper. I said, "There's only one name on it," and I like that name still. It's been a year. I was like, I guess I got to go with King Cryptid. So that's the name of the series. That's the name of the book. The character's name is King Cryptid to us, but like any other cryptid, like Bigfoot didn't name himself Bigfoot,
Or
that kind of a thing. Yeah, so whatever name Bigfoot would have, he could just be Ralph. Maybe Ralph is his name, and we don't know. So we've named him Bigfoot because of his big feet. The same thing with Mothman and whatever else. So it's the same kind of mentality with King Cryptid, is that because of his silhouette, that he's got a crown of bone, and people mostly just see him, just like Bigfoot, flashes here and there of whatever. So they'll see his silhouette, see this thing that looks like a cape and the crown of bone. And King Cryptid eventually was the name coined for him. But that's not actually technically his real name. But like I said, readers are gonna learn what his real name is and more about the history of that character too.
Very nice, very nice. I like that. Oh, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
we got Pops in here saying hi. We got Mike in here saying hi. Pops is also doing a book that I'm in as well. Enter the Cromniverse. We definitely have to do something with Pops on the show at some point. Get more eyes on that.
And then he'll be your biggest guest.
I got from Michael Haney. So, troubleshooter. Michael.
Troubleshooter. Oh, okay. Well, you broke up a little bit on us there. And I was just like, okay.
Crappy internet.
That's why I do most of the talking. Do you want
busy drawing? So
he's always doing something.
Yeah.
Oh, we got greetings, sinners.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, I guess I'm a sinner. Sure, we'll go with it.
We're all sinners. That's we can't be forgiven unless we've sinned. So,
no, I guess that's true. Yep. Now we got Pop says he's not as big as you, Pete. So I don't know. I guess I can have.
He looks like he works out. He's in good shape. He's never gonna get bigger than me. Not in the bloated sense anyway. Maybe he's got a lot of energy, that guy.
Oh, so. God, yes. I want his energy. I'm so jealous. Oh, I'll never have energy like that again.
Goodness gracious. I think I'd be getting like the caffeine shakes if I had as much energy as Pops. But bless him.
I miss caffeine. So not a lot.
I have to cut back because it was now I'm on. I get energized in the morning with like chamomile. People take that to calm down. I'm like, I needed to go from an 11 to a 10, so I'm cutting down on caffeine lately. I might have like a coffee like every 3 or 4 days, and before I used to have like 3 or 4 coffees every day. So it's been a bit different, but so far so good.
I used to live on caffeine. It was literally like an IV line, but now I just can't have it. It's just messes me up too much.
Medically,
so, yeah, especially after I just had that operation, they're like, no caffeine. I'm like, it's all right. I cut it out like a year ago. So
yeah. Well, that's good then. It's not good for you, so it's always good to be able to move away from that.
Definitely
I drink coffee all day.
Yeah. I hear you.
That doesn't surprise me. But yeah, do you want to show us the campaign? Is there anything up there to see yet? Is it?
Well, the only campaign that we have up right now is the spring pre-order campaign, and then we have the winter one that's in demand. I just got news today that the winter campaign, the books are done. It's shipping out. from the printer. So we should be getting them in about like 7 to 10 business days or so, which is fantastic. And I can finally start fulfilling that. And then I think fulfillment will probably be about 3 weeks, because fulfillment for the fall campaign, which was a slightly bigger campaign, that was about 5 or 6 weeks. So I think I can get everything out in 3 to 4 weeks tops. And then the spring campaign will be closing up around that time. We'll get books to print for that. And then King Cryptid will launch in May. So there's a lot of things that are all these little ducks in a row. And I hope that we can get all of them. Otherwise, it could be disaster.
I have faith in you.
Thank you.
I definitely have faith in you. You've been running Alterna for like 15 years now or something.
It was a lot easier when supply chains were, easy to depend upon. So it was easy to maintain a schedule and a sense of, you got deadlines. Okay, you can make them. But this has really been trying to learn how to compensate for all of that and kind of roll with the punches when it comes to meeting those deadlines and the different schedules involved and all of that kind of stuff. Just juggling printers and making sure they're on the same page. And I'm lucky that right now we have a printer who they're definitely fully committed to being with us for the long haul. And I had a nice big talk with them a few weeks ago, letting them know we've got a schedule planned out 2 years out almost all the time. So you've got guaranteed 2 years of work if you can stick with us. And so they like the fact that we weren't just going to use them for one run and then take off. So they worked with us to make things nice and easy, or at least as easy as possible.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love the fact that you guys print on newsprint. I can't say that enough. I mean, that's the way I remember comics.
Oh yeah,
like the happiest of times is when they're all on newsprint.
Absolutely, yeah, and they look great. Let me see if I have a bunch near me at all times.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, you're surrounded. Behind you, and you see like blood around back there and stuff.
Pick one that looks more. There it is. Okay, I wanted to pick one that the color would look.
Oh yeah, red
really
koi.
Nice. So red koi, we have glossy covers. A 60-pound glossy cover, and then on the inside is a 35-pound newsprint, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, I love that look.
And you can tell the difference because in the light, you got that little glare.
Yep.
And then on the newsprint, no glare at all, which is also wonderful. But yeah, the colors are beautiful.
Yeah, the colors really pop nice. Oh, I love that. That just looks great. That's exactly what I want. So
yeah, this book here is by Tyler Wentland with Nick Welch on the colors, but yeah, they do a fantastic job here with the whole palette and really making the most out of it. Really great stuff.
Oh, no. Definitely something that I need to find a newsprint printer for myself. So
yeah, the economies of scale on newsprint printing, we couldn't really do it if we were just printing one book at a time. You'd have to print like 5,000 copies of one book.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But yeah, so where we have like anywhere between usually 6 to 10 or 12 books at a time going to press, and then the runs are usually like 2,000 to 3,000 copies per. We're printing a whole bunch of copies in one shot, so it puts that printing cost down. But otherwise, if you're just going to go in it with one, and it's extremely affordable. As soon as you start cracking like 3,000 copies around there, it gets down to like, you could be talking about printing 5,000 copies and it's a quarter a copy. So money wise, it's not too bad, but the quantity of storing that many, most people don't really have that kind of space.
Yeah, my studio apartment's not really going to work well for that. So.
You'll have boxes of books as furniture. You'll put your mattress on top of it. You're like, okay, well that's a good platform for the bed. You find inventive ways to live with 5,000 books.
Yeah. What was it? Well, I mean, Pops, get out of there. I will throw something at
you. Kitty litter, spare copies, tear them up, put them in the shredder. The expensive kitty litter. Like I said, you find ways.
Hey, are you? Is Alterna doing like printing people's books in newsprint, or are you not doing it?
I
missed
the first part. You broke out.
Yeah, I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, my internet. I'm showing bars here. So, are you printing other people's books with your newsprint?
No,
Yeah,
we're
we're
not
doing
doing that
partial.
anymore. Yeah, that ended about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
And the big reason that ended was because I didn't
Okay.
feel it didn't feel right telling someone, okay, you can put your book through with our print run, and then meanwhile, I don't even know when our print run is. We went through about 4
Right.
printers or so in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So, and then some of them had horrible customer service issues where everything seemed okay at first. And then when there was an issue, and a very small issue most of the time, and I would mention it, oh, hey, for the next run, just look out for this. And they would go, well, we can't handle these anymore. That's ridiculous. I'm like, it's just a small issue just with the way it's printing. And they're like, yeah, this is too much. We're used to doing free giveaway things. We can't print things that you're going to sell. And I'm thinking, well, I can't do the printing partnership then, because if someone has a problem with their book and then I explain that problem to the printer and they turn around and do that, they don't want to reprint, they don't want to refund, they don't want to correct it on the next run. It just turns into a dead stop. I just didn't feel comfortable. It was bad enough we had to deal with that. I didn't want to try to put someone else through that and then tell someone, oh yeah, no, trust that we can do this for you and it'll be fine. When I just knew that wasn't going to be the case. So now
Right.
I'm in a situation where with this printer, I feel good about them, and this is going to be our second time using them. And so even though I do feel great about it, I don't want to start doing anything with the printing partnership type stuff again until at least 2 solid years. So we have 2 solid years of working with them. We have a relationship, a history with working with them. I've had different ups and downs in that point with them, and they've handled them, whatever it may be. And then I can say, okay, now I can confidently say, yeah, if there's an issue, the printer's going to do you right. And they're going to make good on their word. And they also are going to get books out there in a reasonable time frame, because their turnaround time has usually been from the time we give them proofs to the time that they're ready to ship. It's been about 2 weeks, which is phenomenal.
That is really good.
Yeah, and they're based in the U.S. We don't use printers outside the U.S. So with that, if we have those 2 solid years, that track record, then I could feel comfortable again opening up the printing partnership. But for right now, I can't do it.
Yeah, because I wanted to get in on that at one point. I had a book ready to go on it, and then I lost the book. Literally, my files corrupted, and I lost 120 pages.
Oh, wow, man, it was all digital.
Yeah, I had it backed up in 2 places, and I lost everything.
Oh no! Wow.
Yeah, so now I have it. I'm not sure. It was something between Clip Studio and the way it affected my my copy on the hard drive and my copy in their backup system.
Wow.
So from there, now I back up everything to 5 different locations. So,
Goodness.
yeah, I still have about 20 pages of it. But I lost the vast majority of it, and I almost quit drawing completely after that.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. That's a deterrent. Is there any way that you can work traditionally at all, or are you just 100% digital?
I can. It's harder for me. Hobbs, knock it off. Just want to scratch furniture. Stupid cat. I can. It's a little bit harder for me with my hands. Digital is a lot easier for me just with my MS site. I don't have a lot of feeling in my hands. So it becomes difficult with certain things. Kind of miss it in some ways because I liked the feeling of paper texture and all that. But
yeah.
Well, like one of the reasons I like newsprint is I can actually turn the pages easier.
Oh yeah, well that's true. And it doesn't leave. Well, then you'll get the newsprint on your fingers, but you won't get your fingers on the book.
Right. Yeah.
Which with some of the other paper stocks, especially, I abhor glossy paper stock for an interior, especially. Especially the real like slick stuff.
Oh, yeah. The stuff just comes right off.
Yeah, it comes right off because it never actually gets absorbed into the paper. And then on top of it, the reading process is insane. To fight the glare the whole way, you can never fully enjoy the page the way it looks. I like the warmth that the newsprint gives the art. It gives like an undertone of it's almost like an underpainting.
Yeah.
And it gives that kind of effect to it. It just kind of mutes things a little bit. And a lot of the colors for modern printing, people go, well, you know, how is that possible to replicate that on newsprint? The technology has changed over the years, so it's not the same kind of color separation process that took place manually really before. Now that's all done digitally. So the plate printing, all that kind of stuff, it's the same kind of system, but they're able to get it a little more precise because of the digital aspect of adjusting those color separations, as opposed to before you would have a lot of registration misses and a lot of charming things that I loved about newsprint comics too. But that kind of stuff doesn't happen as much. Now we'd have to actually purposefully skew it just a little bit to get something misregistered for the most part.
For some of the stuff I've been doing with the old style coloring, I've been purposely screwing the to make it look like the error.
So stuff like that. But yeah, nowadays, I mean, it's more about, like I said before, as far as newsprint printing goes, it's more about the cost in terms of getting the quantities of copies and being able to house those. And maybe you just think I can sell 1,000 copies, and so if you're going to order 5,000 and kind of just like sit on them like that, you know, maybe then, I mean, maybe you could do it, and then instead of saying, here's 1,000 copies I can sell at like $5 or $10 a piece, now you've got 5,000 copies, and maybe you figure, okay, I can sell them for $2 or $3 a piece. You know, and then you can get more readers that way that are going, wow, you know, this is an affordable comic book. Who would have thought, you know? And then they can do that.
Well, I have potential storage right here. I mean, you know, I can pop the bed up and start getting things there. And
yeah, you know,
it's actually was the guy who rents out like 3 of the garages where I live, and he's pulling all of his stuff out, and I'm just like, well, if I could get enough issues sold, I could easily rent one of those to cover the cost of it, and then put the stuff right in there. I mean, then I have it right on property next to me.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the part that makes it frustrating about comic book distribution too, is because with the difference between comic book distribution and newsstand distribution, newsstand distribution had full returnability. You have to have a different barcode on there. You have to have something known as a BiPad number. Every magazine, every periodical has that. You have to have a separate cover basically printed up. So you have 2 editions, a newsstand and a direct sales edition, like they used to do too.
Yeah, I remember that from Marvel.
But now they need a barcode on both. So the barcodes for just a regular UPC, they're nothing. They're really not that expensive at all. But a BiPad number, you can buy like 20 at a time, or you could buy 1. If you buy 1, it's like $300 something. If you buy 20, it's like $150 to $200 a piece. That adds up if you're a publisher, and each title needs to have a BiPad number. So you have to have this whole thing separately skewed. Then you have to ship them to all the different distributors when you do newsstand, as opposed to the one distributor in comics, which is really just Diamond. So you have to have all that logistically mapped out, because it isn't just like one distributor for newsstand and then it's an aggregate that goes out. You have to ship it individually, like 100 copies here, 1,000 copies there, 40 copies there. That's the kind of stuff that we did. We had like 10 different newsstand distributors at one point. But then it would be all worth it if there was at least some accountability, but there's no accountability on newsstand whatsoever. So they'll put the stuff out there, and then they'll start, and this is what we started getting, and this is why I left it. We started getting negative numbers reported to us as returns. So if we ship like 2,000 books out, I get like 2,015 returned. And I'm thinking, how on earth is that possible? That's not possible.
Some very funny math.
Yeah. You know, so what they're doing, and I found out this, but not through the distributor, I found out from a store. They would scan the book itself. Like, let's say I shipped Red Koi. It came out on a Wednesday, a handful of other books. They would just go with Red Koi. 10 copies, boom, 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 return. Even though it was 10 different copies of 10 different titles.
Yeah.
So then that makes it impossible for me and as a publisher to even pay out anyone correctly, because I don't know what the hell actually sold. So it turns into this big, gigantic mess. The distributor didn't care. And then that was that. So, you know, people think Diamond is the worst thing, and Diamond could be better. And I've had my problems with Diamond, but honestly, between newsstand distribution and even book distribution too, Diamond was actually not as bad as either.
Damn.
Yeah.
And all I hear is nightmares about
and Diamond isn't the greatest, to work with. But that's how much worse the other stuff was.
It's like with I remember years ago when there was like multiple distributors for comics. It was great because you had like Capital, you had Diamond. There was another one in there too. There was like 6.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. And then that was kind of the way the system went. It was mostly, people think it's just because, Diamond came along and then kind of swallowed everything up. But the publishers enabled it. They wanted it. They still want it the way that they want it. They just want that easy, that one distributor and then that's it. But then you become dependent upon, and we're really frustrated with this. You become dependent upon how that distributor is going to steer the ship and where they're going to get your books into what stores. And if they don't really plan on, there was one point in time, I think Steve Jeppy was on Billy Tucci's show. Mm-hmm. And I had asked, I was like, do you guys ever try to get the dollar books into like a Dollar Tree? You ever try to get them into like Five Below? And Jeppy, and I'm the wrong person to say this. He's like, I don't think comics, he goes, can get as low as $1 or so. He's like, that doesn't sound right. And I'm thinking like, so you don't even know who I am. And you have no idea about Alterna and the newsprint. And we had books at 99 cents at that point in time with the ICYMI line. And you're also not aware of all the dollar books that are reprinted books from Marvel, DC, Image, a bunch of publishers. It's like, so that's who, is steering the ship, essentially, is people who have no idea of what the hell their catalog is. And they're not going to actually go, hey, we have all these great books. We should try to get these books in these kinds of stores. It's just the comic shops. Just go to the comic shops. And then what happens is that you don't have the mass audience out there discovering comics out in the wild and converting people who never read a comic or saw a comic before into lifelong comic book readers, which is mostly how everybody became a lifelong comic book reader. Is because at some point in time, you were in some store and you saw that spinner rack or you saw them on the shelf or whatever it was, and it caught your attention. If they're not out there on that shelf and that spinner rack, wherever store you go, that's not just a comic shop, you're never going to know about comics. There's people all the time. When I used to do conventions a lot, they go, oh, are these new? And I'm like, yeah, these are new. Oh, I didn't think they still made. And this is at a convention too. Happened at signings a lot, but at a convention every now and then. I didn't know they still made new comics. I thought these were all just collectible, like vintage comics that are out and and about. People at an actual comic convention having no idea that new comics are made because they don't see them in the world anymore. And if they don't have a comic shop that they can go to that's in the area, they're never going to see comics. So all these different little things, even to shop for comics online, I think the best places are just like Midtown, DCBS, but that's like pre-ordering. So you're out of luck really if you wanted back issues. And then, just a handful of other stores, but it's never comprehensive. It's always just kind of like whatever it is that they have, so you'd think Diamond at this point would recognize, well, crowdfunding, and thank goodness for crowdfunding because we couldn't do what we do now without it. The internet with direct sales and crowdfunding together is pretty much our entire business model at this point, and we're doing better than we did when we were with Diamond. But you figure that Diamond or some distributor at this point would recognize crowdfunding is going to kill us because that is like A to B done. They don't need that little like middleman right there, which is us. The distributor is just a very expensive postal system. Yeah. So they don't need that anymore. They can just go right to the crowd and appeal to them. They don't need the retailer. They don't need the distributor. And now what happens is that if Diamond was to say, hey, let's incorporate a system where it feels at least like crowdfunding. We have the pre-ordering system the same way. It's all on the site. You can just do that and do a ship to store feature. And then you have a little bar of how many copies have been pre-ordered and all this stuff. Make it very easy for people to do so. But they don't do anything like that. It's just still the big fat phone book. I know that they've been trying to do the preview pull box system. They were talking about that 6 years ago. I had actually asked one of my account managers at the time. I was like, do you guys think you can do something like that, like a ship to store? And they were like, yeah, we'll bring it up. And, I don't know if it spurned the idea or if they already had the idea to begin with. But it's been about 6 years in the making. It's not comprehensive across the board at all. It's not like every comic shop is on there. So even that system still has a long way to go. and just the ease of accessibility and having these comics available and easy for people to go in there, click on it, get their comic ordered and shipped to that local store. That's something that to them, I don't know. It's not, I guess, what they think people want to do with comics, but it's, they say, well, you need the brick and mortar store. And I go, well, okay, who's the largest retailer on the planet? Is that a brick and mortar store or is that Amazon? So it's that kind of thing where people obviously are very comfortable with ordering online. It just, for some reason, no matter what, every conversation I had with Diamond when it came to getting comics to people, I'm sure if I was a publisher with more clout, if I had, one of the big two or whatever, and I was coming in there saying that, I'm sure maybe they probably would have listened to me some more. But instead, they're probably like, oh, he's just blaming, the sales on the fact that we're not getting books out there. And it's like, well, it's part of it. It is part of it. So, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I've never liked Diamond. I mean, even when I was like going to stores regularly and stuff, I just never liked dealing with them. In general, like it's like, oh, here's your previews book. Go through and pick out what you want. Like, oh, okay.
Well, and also then hope that it doesn't get canceled and it doesn't, not ship out or whatever occurs. And then if you deal with Diamond as a creator or a publisher, there's a lot of people that have worse horror stories than I do, where they'll be editorial. They're going to tell you like, don't get that artist on the book. Don't have that book have this subject matter. And it's like, you're a distributor. You're not editorial.
You're not an editor. What's the matter here?
Yeah, like are you going to pay for the other artist to do this cover? Are you going to pay for this book to get done? Because you're just a distributor that gets product to the retailer. And then, hopefully it gets to the customer. But that I always thought was the biggest and the worst thing, was always keeping the customer, keeping everybody actually at arm's length from each other. So the publisher is told not to talk directly to the retailer. They're told to talk to the account manager, who will then talk to the retailer. And then the retailer is told not to talk directly to the publisher or vice versa. Then the publisher is also told not to talk directly to the customer, talk to the retailer. And I was like, but wait, you just told me I can't talk to the retailer. I was like, you told me I should talk to the account manager. They're like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense, guys.
It's the gaming industry is like that too, because you have all these different reps for certain types of businesses. Like one of my best friends, he owns probably the biggest gaming store in New England, Battleground Books and Games, and he has to deal with Games Workshop, and they're a nightmare for their Warhammer line. It's just like, yep. They make the best plastic guys who kill each other, so everybody plays it. But dealing with their people is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's like that a lot with everything. I mean, I know Diamond has been classified as like a benign or whatever monopoly, and it's just so cheeky. But it's again, though, it's not even that part is not even necessarily through the fault of Diamond. It's through the fault of the larger publishers that kind of curated that whole system to be that way. So you get all these different things in there, and then I figured, okay, we'll do something different, and especially with the newsstand part of it, I thought it'll at least be a loss leader. We'll get advertising from it that people will see the books, and people did see the books, and it was good that way. But then I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't expect several dozen stores to actually boycott us. Stop ordering flat out. Would just send me emails, Facebook messages at the time when I used to be on Facebook, all kinds of different ways to tell me we're not carrying your books anymore because you got them on newsstand now. And I said, yeah, but on newsstand, they're 2 months delayed. So issue 1 comes out to you first in the comic shop, and then 2 months later goes to the newsstand. So now that person that sees the newsstand issue goes to the comic shop, and then they get issue 2 automatically.
Yeah.
And now they hopefully become a customer. Now it's like one of those, I pass the baton to you. Now it's up to you to keep them as a customer. It's not up to me to constantly direct a customer to go to your store, because if I'm going to do that, I might as well just sell them direct.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so you get all these different facets in the system that are like, well, why don't you give us customers? And I'm just thinking, like, if my job as a publisher or as a book creator or whatever is to make sure that customers go to you, What is your job? Are you just a shelf? Are you a living shelf? You know, do you not get customers in as well? Do you not cater to your community? Do you not grow your own business? Everything is about, oh, you're making books that you know, you're not sending customers our way. And I'm thinking, like, you have customers. You're supposed to have customers, and then you're supposed to recommend books to the customers, and you have inventory that you're supposed to try to sell the same way as I'm supposed to try to sell the inventory that I have. It's impossible for me to sell inventory on like a hand-to-hand level when I'm like so far away, running my own company, not running your store. I don't know what your store carries. I don't know your customer base. But yet that was a conversation I had with many retailers over the years. And of course, there's some really great retailers out there that do things the right way. But I just had way too many interactions between Diamond running it the way they were and then the retailers running it the way they were. I figured if I'm just going to basically surrender like 62% or so to the retailer and to Diamond and just beg them and say, please carry the book. I'll give you like 60% here off. You know, we'll make nothing on the book. Just please carry it. If I'm going to do that, I might as well just sell direct, sell direct and put up a website and do all of that. So because of the fact that there was so mishandling different types of things along the way between Diamond and the retailers, Diamond had mishandled about 15 to 16,000 reorders over the course of 2 to 3 years with us on the newsprint line. I would just see them cancel out. I would see books like Blood Realm go in there day one, already sold out, 400 something reorders popping in already. And I would say, okay, we have a month until they auto cancel this. And I would send an email, and only maybe 4 or 5 times over the course of those 3 years did that email turn into a purchase order. Most of the time it would turn into, oh, well, it should automatically give you. And I was like, it's not giving us a purchase order. It's not doing it automatically. I
remember when Blood Realm came out, I had a hunt for it because I wanted it. And I went to, it wasn't Rubber Chicken. It was the other one.
Friendly Neighborhood?
Yeah, Friendly Neighborhood. I had to go down. I went down there and I like ripped through every Alterna book that was there and finally found it. It's like, yes, I want this book.
Yeah. And then so I got so sick and tired of us losing all those sales. I put up an Etsy store. We sold through Etsy. Then the Etsy store got too big and it didn't make any sense to give Etsy a cut. So then we just opened up our own store, and it's been that way ever since.
Yeah, it's right on the website.
Yeah. And the only reason that we now have a Indiegogo process for pre-orders and then the in-stock items on our own site is this way people are more apt to understanding if you do it on Indiegogo, if you pre-order there's a wait time involved. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you order on the website, I want people to just be able, because before they were doing the pre-orders and everything on the website, and they would have, a 2 or 3 month wait. They pre-ordered items, but they had in-stock items too. And we're only going to ship everything out when it's all here at one time.
Exactly.
So I didn't want people to wait 2 to 3 months for in-stock items. And I was like, we can't do this, because every now and then when there would be an extra delay on a book, I would ship them out separately. But I just said, we can't do this anymore. Let's just do the Indiegogo thing. And then now it's been so much better. So much better. People are really enjoying the Indiegogo process of pre-ordering the books. They can get a bunch of other cool items on there too, some bonuses for pre-ordering if they want to do that. And if they don't want to pre-order, that's fine too. They could just wait till the books are in stock, then we put them on the site, and then just get them, and then we ship them out the next day. So we have those options for people. And the same thing goes for retailers. If retailers place an order, like we just got an order from a retailer yesterday, it's shipping out today. With Diamond,
nice.
They could place an order, and they're not going to get that order from Diamond for about 4 to 5 weeks, because it takes Diamond about 2 weeks to get that order. And this is if everything works out great. It takes Diamond about 2 weeks to get that order to us, and then we ship it to Diamond, and then Diamond ships it to the retailer. So it's not like Diamond says, okay, here's a list of the retailers that need it, and you ship it direct. It needs to go to Diamond. Diamond needs to process it. Diamond needs to ship it out. So the retailer will get their order from Alterna 5 to 6 times faster than they would by ordering it through Diamond. So even with that level, it makes way more sense to handle things direct at this point. If Diamond was growing the system, or any distributor was growing the system and getting the books here, getting the books there, and we're selling 10, 20, 30,000 books into the wild, into the mass market, I would say, yeah, it's worth the pain in the ass of that system. It's actually, there's something to show for it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to and you're selling books, like 1,000, 2,000, whatever through Diamond, I'm thinking I could sell 1,000 to 2,000 here, and not surrender 62%. And we do that all the time. So it just makes way more sense to do it that way. Now we make 3 times to 4 times the money. We sell just as many books, sometimes more books than we did through Diamond on some titles. And we just go direct to the reader.
I definitely want to get in on basically the Indiegogo things at some point. I just don't have money. So
oh, well, again, though, that's what makes it so beautiful, is that you don't need to necessarily go to the Indiegogo pre-ordering. You can eventually wait and then order stuff on the site.
Yeah, I just like getting the whole line because I like Alterna comics. So I said you're probably one of the only companies I buy regularly from or buy of. Aside from I get blanks.
Like covers to draw on, yeah.
Yeah, because there's a show this weekend, but since I had that operation, I didn't want to push for it. I knew I had the operation coming up. It's like Wicked Comic Con or something. Like my buddy Ian will be at it. I think Frankie's gonna be at it. I'm not positive.
No, Frankie. Keith is gonna be at it. Keith and Amy will be at it. Frankie's actually gonna be on the Alterna art auction on Saturday.
Oh, cool! That was fun. I bought stuff from that.
Yeah. No, and it's even things like that about going direct to to the customer, directly to the reader, who will go, oh wow, like look at these guys, they're engaging with us, they're interacting, they're doing something other publishers aren't doing. That's what we're always trying to do. We're always trying to find a way. How can we add some extra value to whatever we're doing at Alterna, whether it's doing things like the art auction or a draw stream, or we're trying to do things like now we're doing the reader reward exclusives, where I know some people are going to go, I'm never cutting up a comic, Pete. I don't care how bad of a condition it is. Okay, that's fine. But there's a bunch of people that are going to cut up the comics and then mail in those cover stamps and then, send them to us and then get some exclusive items.
I cut the comic up in a heartbeat to get the stuff. I did it with the Image Zero. So
a bunch of people, exactly. A bunch of people will do that and have fun with it. And that's great. But that's also too why we sell damaged copies at a severe discount, like 50% or more. So if someone just wants to do that, they could do that. Yeah. And hell, you could buy 2 copies of Alterna. It's still cheaper than like 90% of one copy at any other publisher.
They're like $2 now, right? So like $1.99 or something.
So it'd be $3.98.
Yeah,
for 2. Yeah.
Pops, knock it off. What is with you today? You're acting so weird. He just wants to piss me off.
Wants attention.
Oh,
like, who are you talking to?
Exactly.
It's not me. Who are you talking
usually
to?
He's the
usually
he's the calm one. Yes, you. Look at that face.
So, yeah, there you go.
Oh, he's my old man.
How old?
He's like 12. It'll be 12 this year.
I think Lovey's either 11 or 12. We're not entirely sure. We think she's more closer to 11 though, because she looked kind of kitten-ish still when we got her, and when they still kind of have the lanky limbs. But they said that she was like 18 months at the time, and there's no way that she was 18 months. Even when we took her to the vet the first time, they were like, "Oh, it's a kitten." So,
he was definitely a kitten when I got him. He was I'm pretty sure he was too young to be taken away from his mom when I got him. He's had massive separation anxiety his entire life.
Well, there it is. That explains why he's like, no, attention to me, not to the thing there. That's not real.
When I was diagnosed with MS, 4 years ago now. 4 years ago right now, I was still in the hospital with MS, and I wasn't home for like a month. So when I came home, the two of them were like, "We missed you." Hold on, somebody's trying to chew on tape. Get down. No,
that should be the show. That's more interesting than me talking about Diamond or newsprint.
Yes, me putting up my stupid cat because he eats anything that's not food, as well as food. Cat's got Pika, I think it's called.
What is it called?
pica. It's when humans get it too. It's basically when they eat things they shouldn't, like plastic and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
And it's common with cats. And he has it. His brother just like eating food, so he's pretty good. And that's the one that's usually being a pain in the ass when I'm on streams, and he's sleeping. It's literally the opposite.
That's how it is.
Well, it's like on Dave Finch's stream sometimes when you have he'll be trying to draw and like the kitten will jump up like right in front of him. So I think it's
Oh, did they find their cat, Smokey?
They did. Unfortunately, the cat didn't make it. It was hit by a car. But yeah, they did find the cat. Yeah, Meredith was pretty broken up about it.
I bet.
Yeah, I was talking with her. I've become pretty decent friends with Meredith, so Dave was actually making fun of that on Monday. He's like, I thought Alison was my friend. But yeah, no, I was talking with Meredith about that, so I felt bad.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, so what can we expect from Alterna in the future?
Well, the second half of this year is pretty packed, so we have some really great stuff coming out. We have the book shipping out for the winter campaign, but Blood Realm is also shipping out along with that too. So Blood Realm 10 to 12 and the issue 9 with the variant that actually got onto that same print run.
Oh, cool.
So Rob's going to be shipping out his stuff real soon too. So
Nice.
the second half of the year, we've got Horace Hoover making its debut in the fall. People looking forward to that one. That's a really fun one. Of course, King Cryptid launches May 25th. I'm expecting, I'm going to say that we're going to fulfill it by February 2023. Honestly, we're probably going to fulfill it before the year is up. With the way everything is going with these guys, they're firing on all 4 cylinders. So it's really looking great. Other than that, let's see, we've got a couple other books that are kind of up in the air right now. They may be returning, they may not be returning. I got to see with everybody, but we have Unit 44, which is returning with the spring campaign.
Oh, cool.
So that's moving forward as an ongoing series.
Nice.
Every single issue kind of being the self-contained case file. And that's about those Area 51 agents and all the different situations they're in. And they're just a couple of idiots way in over their heads. But they meet up. Yeah, they meet, different monsters and aliens, and there's all this different kind of stuff that goes on in that Unit 44 series.
I had an idea like that. I called Section 8. So.
Oh, okay. But so then we got Red Koi also returning in the fall as well, with a couple other books on top of that. Wolf and Batsy is that's become an instant hit with people.
Wolf and Batsy is awesome.
Yeah, that's going to keep going on and on as well. So we have a pretty strong second half of the year coming up, but it's going to be very busy. It's going to be very, very busy, and especially this is my first foray back into having a series, so that's going to take up a little more of my time. But I'm really excited to get into it because we've got a lot of stories to tell with King Cryptid, and I already have. I don't think I have it in this room, but I have already a list compiled with like 50 story ideas. So
nice.
Yeah,
so
long
writing
time.
On this one. Are you doing the lettering as well, or are you just
I'm writing and lettering it. Yeah,
sweet. This Peter has given me amazing lettering advice.
Oh,
now I get people asking me to letter their books. So
there you go. Well,
thank you for paying attention to somebody.
That's the thing about lettering is when it's good, you don't really notice it, and when it's horrible, that's all you see. So it's if someone's like, oh, I didn't notice you lettered that book. That's a good thing. That's a compliment. It's a pretty good compliment for a letterer. But a lot of lettering, I find, it is a lot of these mistakes, and yours wasn't nearly as bad as some of the different kinds of mistakes I've seen over the years. But a lot of it.
I've been taking a lot of advice from you. So.
Oh, okay, great. But a lot of it does revolve around, the proper placement, using a font that kind of conveys the same tone of the story, that sort of thing. And even I've learned a lot of things about lettering since I first started too. So it's always a learning process.
Oh yeah.
But I'm looking forward to this, and especially as as writer and letterer, it enables me to create a script that's more about setting up the scene for the artist, and then the artist can put together that scene. And then sometimes there's moments of dialogue where I'm like, make sure it focuses on them and that this is the expression because this is the line. But most of the script, it's like 7-8 pages for like a 22 page story. So 7-8 pages of script for the artist. And on King Cryptid, that's how we've been doing it. And all 4 artists are really enjoying that script apparently, and they're doing a really great job of it. And coming through, making these great scenes, and then I'm in there later on, and I can actually go, okay, maybe I'll put a caption there, maybe I'll put the dialogue there, and I'll do this, I'll do that. But to me, it's more important about the art conveying the scene than it is about the art conveying what I want to say as a writer.
Yeah.
So as long as the art does its job of storytelling, it makes my job even more easier, and then hopefully the writing actually helps to boost the level of the story as opposed to drag it down because I want to make sure my writing is there, my very important words must be seen, so you as an artist don't put it all these fancy images. And I find a lot of modern comics feel like that. It's like, I'm the writer, I'm all knowing and all powerful, I'm the thing that sells the book. No, you're making a comic.
The words are handy, but no.
Yeah, exactly. Any great comic, you should honestly be able to just read the images and see the story and get a gist of, okay, that's what happened in that book. The writing adds to it, but the writing could easily destroy the whole entire book by taking over the book. And all of a sudden now you lost the art, the storytelling, the pacing is off, the reveals of certain things are off. You didn't allow the artist space to work, so now it just feels cramped and kind of weird, and so it could go wrong very, very quickly. So I love the fact of working with these guys. It's been awesome.
I gotta say something on this. I tried asking local drug dealers, but they're not interested in carrying comics in their inventory. I mean, just gonna say, if you can get the local drug dealers to carry comics, that's gonna be a whole new bracket of entertainment. Just say it. That's gotta really push it there, because it's like you get somebody with like, I don't know.
The big problem is probably because I don't want to do it with a good copy. These are kind of the damaged copies. The big problem is because modern comics, you can't do this. If you can convince the local drug dealer, you can roll up the Alterna comics.
That's true.
And maybe they'll find some value.
Might work.
I heard that new comics distributor, Comics Main Street or something. I forget their name, but that they distribute their comics through weed receptacles, whatever they're called in the states that it's legal.
Weed receptacle.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's true. I actually want to track it down.
That'd be.
But
that'd be actually kind of funny. It's like there's a couple
you
of
certainly couldn't sell. You couldn't sell a lot of comics that way. Kinds of comics. I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, I can think of one in particular that might work out pretty well. Smokey the Fox.
Smokes the Fox.
Yeah, Smokes the Fox.
Oh yeah. We've got a lot of all ages comics at Alterna that would not be a good fit at a smoke shop.
Yeah,
and even some of the mature ones, I don't know if there's anything we have that's necessarily trippy in that respect. Horace H. Hoover kind of has, interdimensional paranormal stuff, and I guess King Cryptid as well with the same kind of thing. But if anywhere will sell them, it's great. Put them in it'd be wonderful to get a spinner rack in every single store that there is, a bar, a smoke shop, a fast food place. I don't care. Get comics everywhere.
That's like what's his name? Alex Ross. I was watching like the extras on Unbreakable years ago, and he was saying that he wanted to have like everybody reading his comics. He didn't care who they were. He's like, I want everybody reading every comic that I do. It's like, put them everywhere. I want people reading them. I'm like, yes, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, yeah. We're not in a position in comics anymore to be choosy about where the comic books are.
No.
And who the customer is and all this others. It's just, we just need people reading comics. And if anything, people go, well, don't you want certain people to not read your comics? And I'm thinking there's no such thing, because even if it's someone who comes along and let's say that this comic book appeals to them, and this person is not my kind of person, like I wouldn't hang out with this person, wouldn't be best friends with this person or whatever, right? But let's say that this comic affects them and moves them in such a way that it has an impact on their life. That's the beauty of storytelling. That's the beauty of things like that. So there is no such thing as like, oh, it's the wrong person to read your story. As long as you're making your story and you're putting your story out there, that's all you can do, is just get it out into the world. And once that happens, you don't have any more control over it. Stop trying to control every single aspect of what happens once that book enters the world. Now it flies away and it has its own separate life away from you.
You really can't control it at that point, because
No.
once you've put it out there, it's out there for consumption, and people have to realize that people consume things at their rate and how they want to do it.
And isn't it beautiful then too, if it's someone who I wouldn't say is the right person, whatever that means, to read my comic, and now they really love this comic, and then they come along and they talk to me one day about how much it means to them, and now we have a moment, we've connected. And that's the beauty of these kinds of things, to bridge these gaps between people, as opposed to this constant, let's be at war with everyone and everything all the time. That's not healthy. That's not how we're going to get anywhere in the world. That's not good for your life. So even on a higher level of thinking, that's such a stupid thing to me, to see people saying, I don't want certain kinds of people reading my book. You should want everybody reading your book. And if you have any confidence in your story, and you believe and love in the story that you're telling, you should want everybody to read that story and hope that it has some kind of a positive impact for them. And if it doesn't, it doesn't, but hopefully it does. There's nothing wrong with that. And I just don't understand this modern tendency nowadays to want to have so much control over the end result of like, you must like this character, you must not like that character, you must not read this book, you must read that book. It's insane.
Yeah. It's like with my whole thing is like there's groups like, Comicsgate, and there's non-Comicsgate or whatever. Like, I don't consider myself part of Comicsgate. I just consider myself a comics fan. I just want to read comics. I don't care. If somebody's good, nice to me, I'll be nice to them. It's literally, that's all it is to me. It's just, I'll be nice to you. You be nice to me. If you got a cool comic, I'll read it. If you read my comic, that's cool. If it's not for you,
and things to me, they're nothing more than shorthand for explaining to somebody about something. And that's it. It doesn't go further than that, but a lot of people out there, and unfortunately, this is how we have so much hatred and sadness and anger in the world, is that they'll find the tiniest of little whatever differences and just like, hammer on that all the time. Let's just hammer on the differences instead of looking at like the 90% of the things that you probably have in common, that you have all these similarities. And that's how you end up building and bridging those gaps between all of us, is that you go, wow, even something as stupid as, this is how they did it back in the day with food. Like we sit down to have a meal, and now you discover things about the person, but you're also discovering, oh, we both like these foods. These are these things that can unite people instead of finding all the different ways to divide. It's insane. Life is too short. We make it shorter with all this stuff.
Yeah. When you got like attacked by people for like retweeting something, and it's just like, well, this is this. Yeah, and okay, whatever. I was just like, calm down, people. Calm down. It's not that big of a deal. And then,
well, it's also strange to me. I don't know. Maybe it's the way they grew up, but I never grew up in an environment where everybody got along about every single thing said or done.
Oh, I didn't. I definitely didn't.
I don't know these people that maybe did.
I was a girl who punched people. People like, oh, girls don't hit people. Well, I do.
So just with that, it's like, okay, I've never really saying a lot of things expecting mass agreement, and devoted understanding of what it is I'm saying, and all that. It's very strange to come across people who feel like, well, we could have had this disagreement, and instead of it just being, okay, this is the disagreement, it now turns into this, this big complete division, is fracturing, and you're on this side of everything and I'm on that side of everything. Again, the divisiveness is maddening. It's unnecessary.
You just don't care. It's like I just want to read comics, I just want to make comics, and that's it. And that's one of the reasons I like Alterna is you're just putting out comics that are enjoyable and fun. And
we try our best. Yeah, we really do.
Like, also, that whole when you get swatted, I was in the chat room that day when that happened. I was terrified when that happened. I mean, I can only imagine how you felt. I mean, I've had a gun aimed at me. I know what it's like. It's not fun.
Yeah. Well, especially, and I don't want to dive into that, but that's something too where I think stuff like that, it's there's always going to be bad things that happen to you in life, and that was a really bad time, and it's something that we still deal with here. There's a certain like a rushing up the stairs, because we're in an apartment building. If there's a rushing up the stairs, if there's someone that knocks at the door and you're not expecting someone, there's always these weird, your heart starts pounding a little bit more, and that's when you realize like, wow, it's kind of still a little bit there. But it's always going to be at the back of your mind. But at the same time, you can't let that control your life. You can't wallow in that. There's no benefit to that. I know nowadays, again, there's people that champion this victimhood as like a currency. Every single thing, I'm a victim, I'm this, I'm that, and whatever. And it's like, you can be a victim, but you don't have to be a victim.
No,
you don't have to let that stuff perpetuate and define who you are. And I want to be remembered not as the person that like, oh, Pete said something controversial at one point in time to somebody, and it's a game of telephone, because by the time, years from now, that's what it'll be. It'll be like, you said something to someone and someone didn't like it, and I don't know, that's why he's the devil. That's how this stuff works. When there's nothing serious that's occurred.
I think, my point was more that the way you pushed past it, I mean, that was amazing. It's like you put it behind you and you built from it, and you're still
here.
It's and that's what's amazing.
Because I guess, I don't know, you have to really know, I guess, who you are, and I'm always trying to do what I believe is my purpose, what I'm here for. And I'm here to make comic books. I'm here to entertain people with stories, and hopefully, if I'm lucky, I get to touch their lives with these stories, the same way that comics touched my life, the same way that it defined a part of who I am. So if I'm lucky, I get to do some of that, but that's who I am. I'm not going to, a bad day or whatever it is doesn't define who I am. If anything, I've said this before, that's the difference between heroes and villains in stories too, is that the heroes and the villains both go through trauma. They both go through a bad day, maybe several bad days, but the villain lets that bad day define them in such a way where they want the rest of the world to feel the pain they felt on that day. Whereas the hero defines themselves with that bad day and that trauma by saying, I want to try to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else.
Exactly.
And of course, you can have that person overcompensate and do things the wrong way, and they become controlling, and they become the thing they hate. But when you're a hero, that doesn't happen. You don't become the thing you hate. You don't become this level of a controlling kind of mentality where, you're making sure everything is perfect and clean and safe for forever, because there's no such thing. No. But that's what happens, that trauma defines you, and you choose to go one of two ways. And that's largely life, that's storytelling, it's the same kind of way. But that's the thing, you can't let that kind of stuff define who you are. You can't let other people define who you are. You get to define who you are, and you get to do that every single day. Every single day you get to wake up and say, no, this is who I am.
Exactly. And that was more my point, is just the way you've taken that, and you're you're stronger from it, and it's great. And that's one of the other reasons I'll always be a fan of Peter Simeti.
No, well, thank you, Alison. And with that said, I do have to go, and I apologize. It's been a great time, great conversation with you guys.
I was trying to move to that, trying to get good things going. But yeah, Peter Simeti. Everybody check out King Cryptid when it comes out. That will basically be our show for the day, I think. And on that note, everybody just shut up and make comics.
Absolutely. If you don't make them, we will.
Yeah, I'll be on Raging 2 Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Saturday afternoon is my birthday, so I'll be doing an art stream. No set time. I'll just wing it. But yeah, have a great day, everybody. And